welcome back to the Beach Bum Bookworm. I am Tiffany. I'm so glad y'all found me again today. My channel's all about cozy mysteries and romance books. And today I'm here with my May cozy mystery wrap-up. I read a ton of books in May because it was Murder and Mayhem readathon, and that was so much fun. If you did not join this year, y'all should think about joining next year. We had a blast. If you want to know more about it, you need to go check out, well, you can check out the videos that I have on it, but more importantly, check out the creators' videos. Maddie from This Bookish Cottage, she is so creative and talented, and she explains all about the readathon, and she just has phenomenal content. So make sure you go check her out and subscribe. Okay, so let's talk about the cozies that I read in May. Sorry if the lighting seems dim. I have every blind open. I have all the lights on. And the sun just doesn't want to cooperate with me today. It is what it is, I guess. So first up, I have Scene of the Grind. This was the first book in the Killer Coffee Cozy Mystery series by Tonya Kappes. I love this one. I give it 4 cups of coffee. Oh my gosh. Okay, so they are remodeling this boardwalk in, what is it called? Honey Springs, Kentucky. And they're revitalizing this old boardwalk. So you know I was super excited when I read that. So our main character, Roxy? Yes, Roxanne, but she goes by Roxy, to her special friends. Not just anybody can call her Roxy, but alas, I can. We're like this. So she decides she's went through a divorce, and she decides she's going to open up a coffee shop at the new revitalized pier. And so she opens the Bean Hive, which is a fantastic title for a coffee shop. Love it so much. So her aunt is helping her. Her aunt Maxie, Maxie is helping her. Now her aunt is like this really sassy, and she is full of moxie and sometimes vinegar, and I loved that character so much. Fantastic side character. Well, she had a public argument with somebody, Lila, and Lila ends up being found dead, and she's just eaten a cupcake or a muffin or something from the Bean Hive. Donut. She's just eaten a donut. And so, it's a brand new business between some people think it was her aunt, people think it was Roxy, and Roxy's like, I just opened a business. Can I just concentrate on making coffee? But alas, she can't. She's got to figure out what's going on. I absolutely loved it. I gave this 4 cups of coffee. I can't wait to read more in it. Next up, I read the first book in the Apron Shop Cozy Mystery series by Elizabeth Penney. The first book is called Hymns and Homicide. This is on my 25 to start in 2025. So I knocked another one off my list. This one I ended up giving 3 cups of coffee. I will continue it. I don't think that this first book gave me a good representation because it was a cold case. And I am not a huge fan of cold cases. I don't know if you're not new here, you know this. I say it a lot. It just doesn't hold my interest as well as contemporary in the moment cases. If you're new here, welcome. I am Tiffany from the Beach Bum Bookworm. I'm not a huge fan of cold cases. So this one is set in Blueberry Cove, Maine, which is a fantastic title of a town, and it sounds very cozy. I love Maine for cozies. So our main character, Iris, she and her grandmother decide to open an apron shop. So her grandmother's husband just passed away, so it would be Iris's grandfather. And she goes back to help her grandma square things up and all those things, but also because she has an online apron business, and her and grandma are going to go in together and make it a storefront. Well, while they're getting ready and getting everything ready for the shop, they find a dead body in the basement. And again, like I said, it's a cold case. And then the story takes place from there. Just not a big cold case fan. Had nothing to do with anything else. An apron shop is absolutely on my radar for something I want to read about, which is why I put on my 2025 to start in. And I definitely will continue with number 2. Next up, I read Stamped Out. This is the first book in the Mail Carrier Cozy Mystery series by Tonya Kappes. I read a lot of firsts this month. Interesting. If they were available in audio, I was trying to find things to specifically do more audio because of the murder of Mayhem. So that is why you'll see a lot of firsts and stuff like that. So, and stuff that's not like on lists, like both the coffee shop that I read and this one were not on any list of challenges that I needed to participate in. Alas, they were available, so I read them. Do I regret it? No! Okay, so this one features Bernadette. And Bernadette, she was a mail carrier and then stopped and then kind of went back to it, if I remember correctly, because she was a widow, and then I think she decided to go back to what she was doing. That's what I think it is. This takes place in Sugar Creek Gap. And so in this one, there is a country club. It's being sold to our main character's best friend to make condos. And everybody in this small town is very against that. They do not want the condos. Well, the guy that was selling the country club and Mac, which is Bernadette's best friend, who was buying it to turn it into condos, they have a public fight, and then that guy ends up dead. So this does not look good for Bernadette's best friend, and she's going to figure out what's going on. And she uses mail, dropping off mail and all that stuff to kind of hear all the gossip, which I thought was so much fun. I gave this, I think, 3.5 cups of coffee and definitely will continue it. I'll tell you what else we have a bingo of. Tonya Kappes. This is my third Tonya Kappes since we started this wrap-up. I just noticed that. I don't even know how it didn't cross my mind. It is the 7th book in the Ghostly Southern series. Ghostly Southern series is my favorite series by Tonya Kappes. It's called A Ghostly Secret. This is on my SAS list, so it was part of a challenge that I was supposed to be reading. This series features Emma Lee Raines, and her family own Eternal Slumber, which is a family-run funeral home. And they think that Emily, the town, they think that Emily has the funeral trauma because she can see and hear dead people. But she's what her and the few people that do know what's going on call betweeners. This series is just another laugh out loud funny. The narrator is fantastic. A little over the top in Southern, but if you don't mind that, because this one is meant to be like kind of all those Southern-y isms and stuff happen a lot, but it might be a little too much for you if you're like, oh gosh, that's, keep that in mind. But otherwise, I definitely recommend it on audio. I really, really love this series. I gave this one 4 cups of coffee. It was so much fun. Next up, I read the new series debut of the new series from Courtny Bradley, Deadly Drafts. This is a 5-star read for me. I love this cover. I love Courtny. Courtny is our very own Courtagonist from YouTube. She has another series out that I highly recommend for that too. It's a cruising series, but let's talk about Deadly Drafts. So this features Addie, and Addie was in New York City, and she is an author, and she had a friend in college who basically stole her manuscript and her boyfriend, and the boyfriend is either their literary agent or their literary publicist or something in the literary area. He helps book people, but I don't know if it's a publisher, an agent, there's too many moving parts. I mean, as far as publishing, not this. Okay, so Deadly Drafts. Anyways, so this friend of hers stole her manuscript and the boyfriend and then published it as her own. So Addie has to sue her. She's like, I can't let this just go. This is my work. So while all that's going on, her grandmother falls and hurts herself or does something where her health is ailing. And so her grandmother needs some help. And so she goes back home to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, which is where this series takes place. And I don't know of a lot of Oklahoma cozies. So if you're trying to do any sort of, if you're trying to do any sort of cozy mystery road trip challenge, mark this down for your Oklahoma because it was fabulous. Okay, so she's back home in Broken Arrow. Her sister also lives there. And her grandmother owns Literary Stitches, which is a book and craft shop, which was what a great idea. Okay, so Addie is working in there. She's helping her grandmother. She's also getting a break from everything going on in New York, or so we think, because suddenly the woman who stole her manuscript and her fiance, which we didn't want him anyways anymore, especially once we meet him, I'm like, ooh, take him, please. So I was really glad that didn't work out. However, anyways, they come into town because they're going to get married in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And I mean, what would bring them there except just to be dirty? But anyways, there they are. And the ex-friend comes in to Literary Stitches and kind of rubs it in and all these things and everything. Well, that woman ends up dead. And so what is supposed to be the wedding turns into the funeral. And in the meantime, Addie's being questioned. Addie's sister's being questioned because she went off on the ex-friend when the friend had come into the shop. It is fabulous. It is fabulous. And one thing I forgot to mention, because I did a short review of this, and one thing I did forget to mention that I want to mention this time is she has a character that is going to be a good friend of hers. He is her ex-boyfriend, and he had come out as gay, and he is now back in town too, doing like wedding venues and stuff, events and stuff. And so they kind of rekindle their friendship, and I think their friendship is going to be fantastic. I really, really loved his character, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. This book was 100% 5-star read for me. I highly recommend it. Next up, I read A Drizzle of Murder. This is by Constance Barker. It is the first book in the Mad Batter Cozy Mystery series. I gave this 3 cups of coffee. It is a very short read. It features Coco, and Coco owns a bake shop, and she is moving her bakery, and one of the guys that's helping her move, ends up dead in her shop. She had a funny feeling about him, all of those things. This is very short, very sweet. I think it was like 4 hours on audio. It might even be shorter. It was just a fun bakery read. And then I read number 2 in the same series because I had a bind up. And the whole bind up is like the entire series, and it's still fairly short. So meaning each book is just a really short listen. So number 2 is called Crepes and Crimes. I also gave this one 3 stars. And I can't remember where the first one ended and the second one stops. But I know that in the second one, a family is getting married. There's going to be a wedding. And in the family, the best man ends up dead. Like I said, I gave both of them 3 stars. Probably will continue it, but I might keep it for when I need a short audio book, like in my back pocket, because I still have the collection. Next up, I read another first and second in a series called the Molly Sweetwater Cozy Mystery series. This is by Sophie Love. The first book was called Caramel Conspiracy, and this is another very short, very sweet. It's not bakery, but our main character, Molly, owns a taffy shop, and this is a seaside taffy shop. So I really loved this. I actually gave the first one 4 stars. So this one, a renowned chef comes, and he is doing a tasting of her saltwater taffy, which is a huge deal for our main character. And then he ends up poisoned, which is a very bad deal for our main character. And she knows that she didn't do it, so she's going to figure out what's going on. I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Number 2, I gave 3 stars. It's from the Molly Sweetwater Cozy Mystery series by Sophie Love. Maple Bacon Mayhem, which is a really fun title. And in this one, so she, again, owns a taffy shop. She makes maple bacon taffy flavored taffy. And her syrup supplier, who's new in town, or he's new to syrup supplying for the town anyways, ends up dead. That's what happens in this one. I gave this one 3 cups of coffee. Both of those series, the Molly Sweetwater and the one I just talked about before that, which is the Mad Batter, very short. They were both available on Audible Plus for free in the Plus catalog. So if you're ever looking for something like that, go check those out. Next up, I read another Tonya Kappes. I think this is going on my 4th one of the month, but alas, I love her. It is the 38th book in the Campers and Criminals. I'm trying to stay caught up on it, y'all. I'm only one behind, and that's because I listen to them on audio, so I have to wait for it to catch up with me. I'm waiting for it. Oh, I won't say that for long. It is Autumn's Awnings and Arson. And in this one, it is the fall, which is my favorite time, and especially at the campgrounds in Normal, Kentucky. So our main character, Mai, she owns a campground in Normal, Kentucky, where nothing's normal. And this one, there's going to be the Daniel Boone Festival. We've actually seen the Daniel Boone Festival in at least one of the other books, but like, you know, because it probably takes place every fall. So at this festival, there is a fire, and the doctor in town ends up dead. But then they find out he was dead before the fire. Yeah, murdered before the fire even took place. And so as, of course, Mai is going to get involved and look, her and the Laundry Club ladies, they start finding out a lot about this festival. There's a lot going on with the historians in this Daniel Boone Festival, fairs and all sorts of things. And it was such a fun installment. I think I gave it 4 cups of coffee. Next up, I read another first in a series. This is also on my books to start in 2025 and would be perfect for a summer read. It is number 1 in the Beach Cocktails Cozy Mystery series. It's called Mai Tais and Murder. This is by Lydia Lane. I gave this 3 cups of coffee. I really enjoyed it. What was our main character's name? I don't remember. Did I write it down? I'm not sure. I don't think I wrote it down. But what happens is she goes on her honeymoon alone. Why? Because her fiance jilted her right before the wedding. And I feel so bad for her because I can't tell you how many times she is on her honeymoon. So of course, I mean, I don't know how people wouldn't assume, but you know, she'd be by herself and people are like, oh, is your husband in the room? Is he coming? And she's like, oh no, there is no husband. And she'd have to like tell the story again about how she was jilted and all of that. Well, someone she meets at the resort is this very wealthy rich man, and he ends up dead. And so there are a lot of webs of lies and deceits going around in this resort and kind of to do with him and other people. And our main character is going to sleuth it all out. I cannot believe I did not write down her name. I apologize. This one, super fun. Definitely will continue this series. I enjoyed it. 3 cups of coffee. Next up is another series on my 25 to start in 2025. So I did pretty well this month with challenges. It is the first book in the Matinee Classics Cozy Mystery series. This is by Della Pearl. It's called Here's Looking at Murder, Kid. I really like this. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. So our main character, Stevie, she goes home to Penny Cove, I think it was called. And her best friend owns a theater, a cinema. And she becomes a silent partner. And one of the things that she wants to do is host this classics matinee. And she hosts her first one. 3 people show up, an older married couple and this guy who is all by himself. And they get their snacks, they go in and watch the movie. And afterwards, our main character, Stevie, is cleaning up and trying to sweep everything, you know, the popcorn that gets on the floors and all that stuff. And the gentleman who was by himself is still in the theater. And she's like, hey, it's time to leave. And our stranger is dead. And so it goes from there. And it turns out he may or may not have been poisoned by the popcorn, which does not look good for Stevie. And so they're going to figure out what's going on. I really, really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. I love the idea of a classics movie, cozy mystery. So yes. And I followed that with another one that was on my list of 25 to start in 2025. I'm pretty sure it was. And it's kind of the, so up my alley. I think that I gave this one 5 cups of coffee. Oh, it says 4.5. Okay, I gave this one 4.5 cups of coffee. It's the first book in the Backstage Cozy Mystery series. There's no murder like show murder. This is by M.S. Green. I actually met this gentleman at Malice, and I was like, I am so excited to read your book. I might have scared him a little bit because I was just, yes, this is so up my alley. Okay, so our main character, Tasha, she has been around the Playhouse since she was a kid. So she's always loved theater, and her family, I think it was her mom, was involved, and so she would often be at the Playhouse for different reasons. She's done different positions, and she is now the head costume person at the Eastbrook Playhouse. And what happens is we have a major Broadway wannabe Devo. Yes, that's a word, Devo. It's a word. Don't worry about looking it up. And he gives the director and somebody else, somebody else besides the director in the play, a hard time. And they get into this fight. And he goes storming off and quits because that's what Devos do. They storm off and quit. So he ends up dead. And everybody is going to, our main character, Tasha, is going to figure out what's going on because she doesn't want the Playhouse under scrutiny because she loves it so much. I loved this one. I can't wait to read more. 4.5 cups of coffee. Yes. Next up, I read my most anticipated read of the year. This was also on my 25 to start in 2025. Y'all know what I'm going to say. It was the first book in the Golden Girls Cozy Mystery series. This is by Rachel Eskram Courage. Murder by Cheesecake. I gave this 4 cups of coffee. I know that there is very polarizing beliefs for this book. Is it perfect? No. Did I love it? Yeah, I did. It worked for me. I tried to keep a lot of my expectations out and just go in and have a fun time, and I did. It felt like an episode of the Golden Girls to me, a long extended episode. I thought that the characters all responded exactly how they would in any of the situations that they were in. There were a few things that I, didn't love, but other than that, I really enjoyed this. And I will say the author, Rachel, she is a diehard Golden Girls fan. And I know that because as someone who is also a diehard Golden Girls fan, my favorite show of all time, I can tell you that there were a lot of references, not to bigger things within the episodes or within the show that everybody would know, but minute little jokes and, Easter eggs that unless you were very into the show, you would not get those references. And she had them in there. It was so much fun. And this book, Murder by Cheesecake, centers around Rose. So Rose is cousin, I believe it is, or niece, is getting married, and they want to get married with all the St. Olaf traditions. Now, I will say that I think somebody else said this, and I agree with them. I think each book may have a different focus as far as each woman. So book 1 was focused on Rose. All of the ladies are involved. You see them all throughout the books. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying, it was kind of Rose's story. So I'm thinking that maybe like book 2 is Dorothy or, whoever it is. And I really, really love that idea. And again, I love this. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. I thought it was a really good time. Next up, I read the 4th book in the Caribbean Kitchen series right here. This is by Raquel V. Reyes. I loved it. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. So this features Miriam. And Miriam is a foodie anthropologist, which I've been so invested in this series because I just think that's so interesting. She had taken some time off because she was raising her toddler, and her best friend talks her into taking this job as a cook on, what is this show called? Abuela Approved. And it's like a local PBS show, and she cooks, I believe it's like Cuban American food. And so in this one, her husband Robert is, what is he's building a hotel or something like that, and a body, a skeleton, is unearthed. And I'm not normally a cold case lover. I said this earlier. However, this one was so interesting. It says, I'm going to read you a little. It says, her husband Robert's much delayed hotel project screeches to halt when human bones are unearthed. Tribal representatives, forensic archaeologists, and a pompous professor rain down on the possibly ancient site. I was so invested in what was going on. Now, a fake skeleton turns up, and it has on the fake skeleton etched the word Smith, which is Robert's last name. And so Miriam is then contacted by the worst character in Cozy Mystery history, her mother-in-law. I can't stand her mother-in-law. I've said this many times before. You're not meant to like her, I know, but Raquel writes her with she writes her very well because I hate her. Okay, so she contacts Miriam and wants Miriam's help. Because she thinks that she is being threatened. Does she contact Miriam, or Miriam just sees her? I don't remember. But there's something going on with the mother-in-law. The mother-in-law then kind of says, oh, I think that somebody's after me or something like that. I don't know. Didn't really care because I don't like her mother-in-law. Look, she's fake. She's fiction. So what I'm saying is, if it was a real person, I would still dislike the person, but I wouldn't want to see anything evil happen to him. But look, she's fiction. So I don't have to feel bad about not being that invested in the fact that, was she in danger? I don't know. Don't really care. Anyways, I love this one. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. I was completely sucked into this story. Now that I'm talking about it and thinking about it, I just raised it to a 4.5. Sometimes I do that. Look, I rate by the spirit. And my spirit says it was a 4.5, so I've just changed it. Next up and last, I read the first book in the Old Juniper Bookstore Cozy Mystery series called Book for Murder. This is by P.J. Nelson. This features Madeline. And Madeline left her small town in Georgia to go and try to pursue acting or pursue stage, something on the stage. And she comes back to her small town in Georgia because she finds out her aunt passes away. Is it her aunt or her great aunt? Her Aunt Rose. And her Aunt Rose left her the Old Juniper Bookstore. And it's in this Victorian mansion. It sounds amazing. Well, Madeline decides that she's going to take this opportunity, so she goes back. And almost as soon as she gets there, she starts feeling very unwelcome because, well, the night she gets there, her gazebo is set on fire. And then she gets a threatening phone call saying, you need to leave and you need to leave now. And it kind of continues from there. And then a real body pops up because another fire happens. And Madeline's like, I am not going to be scared off. And so instead, she's going to investigate and find out what happened. Yes, she is. I love Madeline. I gave it 4 cups of coffee. That was my month of cozies. What was your favorite in the month of, what month? May. What was your favorite cozy that you read in May? My favorite cozy that I read in May was Deadly Drafts by Courtny Bradley. I highly recommend it, but I had a bunch of amazing reads in May. Let's see. Yes, tell me your favorites. Give me a big thumbs up for this video. And until next time, may all your future reads be 5 stars. Bye, everybody.